What's going on, guys? Welcome into a live Cleveland Browns report. Matthew Peterson here with the first-time producer for the Browns Live, I believe, Jack Lauderay. So good to be with you guys here on a Thursday afternoon. We've got a lot to talk about, too. OTAs is underway, so we're going to hit on some winners or losers. I'm going to call it this way. I'm going to put it this way. It is a misdemeanor to give out winners and losers from OTAs. It's a felony to get mad about winners or losers from OTAs. It's all one big joke. It's OTAs. It does not actually really matter when it comes to September. Plus, we have some other news and rumors to hit on from OTAs, like a Darrell Henderson signing potentially. So a lot on tap for everyone today. Now, while we let the audience build up a little bit, and before we jump into the show, shout out your city. It's always good to see familiar faces and names in the chat. Ty Man the Buckeye, Ray Bidding already down there. Last week we had no show. Last week this time I was on the couch with a lot of pain medication after I got my wisdom teeth taken out. I'm feeling like 95% right now. Still a little bit of tooth pain, and it kind of hurts to talk a little bit, but we're going to soldier through and get you guys a live Browns report. So let me know where you are tuning in from. I always give shout-outs as Michael is watching from San Antonio. We got Jersey Dog, Kelly Bale, Rays in Phoenix, Night Frights in New Bloomington, Ohio. We got Sean saying Go Browns, love to see it. Interception Productions in Sandusky, Ohio. Matthews in Greenville, South Carolina. Josh tuning in from Cincinnati. Daly's in Medina. Love to see it. Karen's in Youngstown. Josh in Cincinnati. Ty Man the Buckeye getting the OHIO going. Jersey Dog, as always, in South Jersey. Michael Warnecki's in the house from Illinois. And Michael's watching from Cleveland, baby. And we've got Orlando, Texas, Medina, excuse. Oh, there's Medina, yeah. And all over the place. It's always good to see Browns fans expand beyond the Buckeye State borders, going from coast to coast, as I like to say, Pacific to Atlantic. So let me know where you are tuning in from. Now, let's get into a real Browns-related question here. It's the off-season, which means one thing. Talk show radio is always going to manufacture bizarre questions just to fill the void. And I'm guilty of it too, right? I'm not saying I don't do the same thing, but that is the nature of the offseason, where we have these endless debates and more or less pointless debates because we can't prove our side until the season gets underway anyway, but we still get super worked up and up in arms over it. So with that being said, will Deshaun Watson be a Pro Bowl quarterback in 2023? Whether you say yes or no, we can't do anything about it for a handful of months, but we're sports fans. This is what we do, baby. We get in stupid arguments because we love sports. So what do you guys think? Will Watson be a Pro Bowl quarterback? Tyler Huntley was a Pro Bowl quarterback last year. So the bar is not very high, right? It doesn't take a whole lot to be a Pro Bowl QB. Derek Carr was, and he was benched at the end of the season. So the bar is pretty low. It's like we're basically where the limbo starts at luau's, right? Where even grandma can get under it. So I think he's going to be in contention for a Pro Bowl spot. When Tyler Huntley and Derek Carr are Pro Bowl quarterbacks, the Pro Bowl is pretty meaningless. But if we're looking at it as Pro Bowl meaning you had a very good season and not just a good season, yes, I do think Deshaun Watson will have a very good season. I think he's going to get a lot closer to that 2020 NFL passing leader form than he was at the end of last year. And it's more than just a gut feeling, right? Last year, the entire offense in the preseason was catered to Jacoby Brissett because he was the starting quarterback for 11, 12 games, whatever. This time, it's all Deshaun Watson, and the offense will be fine-tuned to Deshaun Watson from the first day of OTAs until the last practice before the Super Bowl. Like, that is the difference. Whereas last year, it was Brissett with a little bit of Watson mixed in on the side because Deshaun was not going to even step in until December. So what do you guys think here? Sean saying Hall of Fame City. Heather's giving me a Y for yes. Jay's watching from Blacklick, Ohio. Ray, if Watson is not a Pro Bowl QB, you better start giving Jimmy some money back. Yeah, I don't think Deshaun's going to be interested in that. David saying yes. Karen Phillips, yes, with a chip on his shoulder. Can he really have a chip on his shoulder? I don't think he meets the qualifications for chip on the shoulder standard. Yeah, he's got a lot of money. Like I don't know if Watson's a chip on his shoulder kind of guy. Maybe he's a chip on the shoulder because so many blue check marks on Twitter are saying Deshaun Watson's going to suck. So he can have a social media chip, but no on-the-field chip on the shoulder, right? He wasn't passed over time after time in the draft or anything like that. All right, tons of yeses coming in. Love to see it. Hey, if you have not liked the video, by the way, make sure you do so. YouTube says if 50% of the people watching have liked the video, they will show our video more. So if you want to support the channel, hit that thumbs up button. Now, should the Browns sign a running back? As we kind of switch gears here and continue to talk about the offensive side of things here, what do you guys think? S for sign, P for pass. I think a big reason behind wanting to sign a running back is we just sort of want something to happen. Like, raise your hand if you had a lot of fun when Za'Darius Smith got traded. We just want them to sign a notable name so we can continue to collect all these really talented players. Even if Kareem Hunt or Ezekiel Elliott isn't all that talented anymore, they're still a big name, and we all know them, and we're just going to feel like the Browns are just getting better and better. Even if Jerome Ford quietly might be better than those two guys, we all know Zeke and we all know Kareem. So what do we think? Sign a running back. S for sign, P for pass. Oh, did not expect this. A lot of passes coming in. Okay. This catches me by surprise. I thought there might be some S for signs, but I'm kind of passing too. Jerome Ford, like, have we forgotten? He looked really good in the preseason last year. We saw virtually none of him in the regular season outside of special teams, but I'm willing to bet on Jerome Ford taking a step forward to just be the RB2. Like, we're not talking about signing a starting running back, right? We're talking about a backup. Think about how worked up we are getting over a backup running back when, can I let you guys in on a secret? Nick Chubb is going to get a boatload of carries. He has 2 years left on his deal. Very little dead money for next season. So there is a chance that the Browns decide, let's sort of run Nick Chubb in the ground this season and let's give him all the carries. Doesn't matter who the backup is, he's holding a clipboard and coming in for an occasional third down here or there. So that's why I'm going to pass and let Jerome Ford show off a little bit, and maybe he can take over from Nick Chubb. But if you sign Zeke or you sign Kareem Hunt, it's only 1 year. And you don't learn anything about Jerome Ford, who might be this team's future running back. He might be, he might not be. But you won't find out if you sign Zeke. I can promise you that much. Now, off-the-wall question. What is your favorite ice cream flavor? Like I mentioned at the start of today's live show, we did not have a live show last week, unfortunately. I had to get my wisdom teeth removed. And when I came out of surgery, which was, by the way, the first time I'd ever gone under before, so I was kind of spooked, never gotten like stitches, never gone to the hospital for anything before. Pretty clean bill of health, believe it or not. So I was kind of nervous, first time getting stitches, first time going under, anything like that. And when I came out, I remember thinking, I'm 100% with it. I'm mentally there. And evidently I was not. I required a mandatory poll from all the nurses and technicians working at the oral surgery office for top 3 ice cream flavors. And then I went gladiator mode because I had so much gauze in my mouth I couldn't talk. Up or down? Thumbs up or thumbs down? So I feel bad for the nurse. Maybe you're still watching. Someone said coffee as their favorite flavor. I didn't just thumbs down them. I booed them through my gauze and my Bugs Bunny cheeks. So I gave them a big thumbs down. I think coffee's a good I think coffee can be a good ice cream flavor. It's not my cup of tea, but it can't be your favorite. Like, you can't have a last meal. And for dessert, ice cream, sir or madam, coffee. There's so many better options out there. I'm a big fan of cookies and cream, cookie dough, the Tonight dough. So many better options other than coffee-flavored ice cream. Butter pecan, or pecan, depends on where you're from. Strawberry cheesecake, cookies and cream, Buckeye flavor, butter pecan. Jack, you want to hop on the mic and give us your favorite ice cream flavor?
I'm kind of simple. I love a good chocolate. I
oh
think
my
that
God,
that's
you can't.
No, let me finish, Petey.
I'm nervous.
I love a simple chocolate, but usually I go for a cookie dough or a cookies and cream, but I do love a simple chocolate as well. But
I guess I
usually I'll get stuff mixed in, like I'll do like
Josh
the cookie
with
dough.
vanilla and chocolate.
Usually I'll do like the cookie dough or the brownie or something like that. Like
Yeah.
I'm a little more. I have more standards than just
Communist
like
Russia, just
the regular
basic vanilla or chocolate, no extra flavors. This is probably an unpopular opinion. My favorite ice cream flavor is banana. I love banana. I know, I just got a thumbs down from Jack. I love banana flavored ice cream. Okay, if you are ready for football, and I define football as NFL Week 1 or college football Week 1. I do not subscribe to the idea of preseason being football is back. That always grinds my gears when the tweet goes out of tomorrow is the last day where we will not have football every single weekend until the Super Bowl. Bullshit. You want to know when football starts? Thursday night, Week 1. Because up until then, it's QB3 versus QB4, and you get super excited, and the Browns are back and everything. You're going to Cleveland Browns Stadium, and you don't even know anyone on the field. It's a bunch of practice squad players at best in the second half. So no, I do not subscribe to preseason football being the point where football returns. It is Week 1. So if you are ready for football, Week 1, like this video. We have a long way to go. We also have to get 5 more likes until we can get to about 50% of the people watching have liked the video. So hit that thumbs up button to help boost the channel a little bit, right? Help the YouTube gods push this to more Browns fans out there. So if you have liked the video, let me know in the chat. I'll give a shout out to everyone who does so, like Sean, who made some banana bread. Very delicious. Banana is great. Okay, my banana take is holding some weight.
I do like bananas. Like I had a banana this morning for breakfast.
Banana's great.
But it's just like not my preferred ice cream flavor.
Yeah, I remember I went to Tennessee, and Tennessee has gone through a handful of football head coaching changes. And when I was in college, we went through 2 changes. And one of them, they brought a new strength and conditioning coach in, and he had this awesome quote where he's like, no protein bars, none of that before workouts. We're only eating bananas. And someone said, why? And he's like, why? Because gorillas only eat bananas, and they're fucking huge. And I was like, yeah, the math's out. The logic is there. I guess so. He ended up getting fired, so it did not work out. Probably should have done some protein shakes.
Oh, I wasn't going to say it's for that reason, but like I would have bananas before I went to football practice because of the potassium, so you're not cramping. Because I used to cramp really, really bad in my legs when I didn't have bananas.
Okay, Gray's liked it, Aaron's liked it. Here we go. We got to cross 50 likes. This is what we have on tap for everyone today. The latest news and rumors, as always, with our friend Bernie Kosar. And then some OTAs, winners and losers, and a little bit of a preview right there with Za'Darius Smith. And I'll give you an extra preview. He ain't a loser. And then we have a mailbag at the end of the show. So get your questions in right now. #Browns, or you can super chat. If you want to go above and beyond and support the show, super chats go a long way to help the Browns Report grow here at Chat Sports so we can get more studio space and you guys can get more content. They're always greatly appreciated. Now, do we have the green light from producer Jack Lauderay? Okay, let's jump into a live Cleveland Browns report. Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Matthew Peterson, and on today's show, we're going to break down the latest news and rumors, and not quite the absolute dog days of the offseason. That's reserved for July when only baseball is on, but we do have some OTAs, nuggets to hit on, things like that. So let's start things off with a bit of a free agency rumor out there about the Browns potentially signing Darrell Henderson. I'm going to give this 2 Bernie heads. Now, we use Bernie heads as a scale of believability. 0 Bernie heads being fake news, 4 Bernie heads being Believeland. But let's talk about Darrell Henderson. So, Brad Stainbrook from the Orange and Brown Report reported that the Browns brought Henderson in for a workout on Wednesday. Now, that they did not sign him after said workout, and they brought, I remember, like Poona Ford in for a workout. It was Al Woods, actually, excuse me. And they did not sign him either afterwards. So, workouts do not always mean a signing, but I'm going to give it 2 Bernie heads because it does come at a bit of a position of need for Cleveland at running back. Now, some background information on Henderson. He was a 3rd-round pick by the Rams. He played just 4 seasons for LA. He was released middle of last season if you play fantasy football, you know that it was a head case or a headache between Henderson and Cam Akers. That's why I avoided them both altogether, but no one cares about your fantasy team. Now, Darrell Henderson, his stats over the last 4 years, really good middle of his career, right? 2020 and 2021, 600-plus yard rusher, 10 touchdowns combined. I mean, no, not RB1 numbers necessarily, but remember, no one throws the football more than the Rams do, so running backs aren't necessarily going to flourish in that offense. But last year, just 283 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he was released before the season even ended. Now, when you look at Cleveland's running back room, this is something we are probably getting a bit tired of hearing about, and that is there's a bit of an opening after Nick Chubb, right? You have Jerome Ford, a 5th-round pick last year, who we saw very little of in his rookie season. John Kelly, another former Ram, has more or less been a practice squad guy for much of his career. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Oh, sign Darrell Henderson to replace Kareem Hunt. I'm actually going to push back on that idea. This is not a Kareem Hunt replacement. Right, this is a D'Ernest Johnson replacement, right? Because Kareem Hunt brought a lot of receiving abilities, right? A different set of skills than Nick Chubb had. That's not what Darrell Henderson brings to this offense, right? If he is signed, he's not being signed to be a receiving back. That's more of a Demetric Felton or a Jerick McKinnon, right? Which is why I think this is a D'Ernest Johnson, just super-duper good depth at RB3. And if his name gets called like D'Ernest did back in 2021, awesome. 3 games he was called upon, 3 times he was awesome, right? But in 2022, we didn't see much of D'Ernest Johnson because Nick Chubb played the entire season, and Kareem Hunt wasn't banged up like he was the season prior, and he was more or less a special teamer. Now, does Darrell Henderson bring a lot of special teams abilities? Probably not, because if he did, I think LA would have moved him to that role other than outright releasing him last season. So I'm not going to get super excited about Darrell Henderson coming here to replace Kareem Hunt. No, this is a D'Ernest Johnson replacement at RB3, if anything. So what do you guys think? Should the Browns sign a running back? Sign or pass? I always love seeing what the Dog Pound has to say here at the Browns Report. So sound off for me down in the comment section. I just want to take a moment, because this is a rare thing for Browns fans. The team's biggest need on offense right now is an RB2. Really let that sink in for a moment, right? A fan base that has been tortured of a carousel of quarterbacks among many other issues. And before we get ready for the 2023 season, what is the biggest need on our Christmas wish list for the offensive side of things? A backup running back. That is how good this roster is, right? So give a round of applause for Andrew Berry for putting together a roster where we are pulling hairs and bitching and fighting in the comment section about a freaking backup running back. Like, whether it's Jerome Ford or anyone else, at the end of the day, the regular season's going to start. Nick Chubb's going to get 25 carries, and we're going to forget all about who the backup running back even is. Now, speaking of Jerome Ford, Zach Jackson from The Athletic included him in his OTAs write-up and said, Jerome Ford got the first action and first carry in the first team drill. Chubb's absence makes this an even bigger spring for Ford, who impressed the team's decision makers as a rookie, but appears headed for a much larger role this season. I think this is Jerome Ford's season, right? I know we want to either sign another running back like Kareem Hunt or bring him back, sign Zeke, or maybe you don't, because at this point, I don't really want to, honestly. I'd rather see what you have in Jerome Ford, because if you bring back Hunt, or if you sign Zeke, or you sign another back, it's going to be a one-year deal, and they're not going to be on this team past that season. Jerome Ford has 3 more years left on his rookie contract. He very well could be a Nick Chubb replacement. Let's see what he has, right? I can guarantee you one thing. If you sign Zeke or you sign Hunt, you will learn nothing about Jerome Ford this year. But if you don't sign those guys, you will learn something about Ford. It might be good, it might be bad, but at least we'll learn something. And before we get to the second rumor on today's show, today's sponsor, BetUS, is back in the mix, and they've got a great deal for everyone. You got to go to chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code Browns125 when signing up, and then BetUS gives you a 125% deposit bonus. Now, what does that mean in English? Basically, let's say you deposit $100. Well, BetUS will match that and then give you an additional $25. So 225 to play with on the NBA Finals, the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, Polish soccer, doesn't really matter. Whatever your craving is, BetUS has you covered. You just have to use that link at the bottom of the screen with this promo code. Moving on to our second story today. Are there major offensive changes coming? I'm going to give it 4 Bernie heads, baby. Cleveland. I went there. Yeah, you can bet your bank on it that there will be a lot of changes on the offensive side. Now, Tyler Johnson, who's an awesome Twitter follow, tweeting out interesting info from Tony Grossi saying the Browns offense is using a lot more pre-snap motion and a lot of movement post-snap as well. It's been said many this offense will look different in 2023. Can't wait to see some changes in training camp. And I agree with, can't wait to see the changes, but also this offense is going to look very different. And allow me to explain. But first, let's go to the horse's mouth. Kevin Stefanski, when he spoke to the media back in March, said this: I think some of the differences were really, really small and some were big. I think they are just two different players when talking about Watson and Brissett. They are obviously schematic things you are going to do with your quarterback that has the skill set and then this skill set. You are going to differ while trying not to be totally different. You can't transition completely 180 in the middle of a season, but try to play to each of their strengths. So what I took away from that last sentence there about not changing 180 was that the Browns went into the season with an offense for Jacoby Brissett, right? He was the starting quarterback for majority of the season. If the Browns wanted to make the playoffs last year, they had to win more games with Brissett than Watson, most likely. So they catered an offense to Jacoby Brissett. And of course, once Watson took over, like Stefanski just said, they couldn't flip a switch and change everything for Deshaun Watson. This year, it's different. This year, the whole offense from the first day of training camp, from the first day of OTAs, from the moment last season ended, has been completely centered around Deshaun Watson and what makes him successful. So while some people will go, what do you mean? Last year, Watson was on the team for the whole offseason. Why wasn't the offense ready for him? Because the offense was designed for Jacoby Brissett. Now, here are some changes I think you can expect to see in 2023. An overall uptick in passing. You don't trade the whole farm and give out $230 million just to run the football with Deshaun Watson as your quarterback. They're still going to run the ball. It's probably just going to be more carries for Nick Chubb and just a little bit less carries overall, but an uptick in passing in general. I also think you might see some longer route concepts. Now, what does that mean? If you've got a young quarterback or maybe not a very good quarterback, you're not going to have a very expansive route tree. It's going to be very basic stuff. With Deshaun Watson and his ability with his legs to extend plays and his freakish arm talent to throw the football into places no other quarterback can, they're going to have some very elaborate route concepts where guys are going down the field. Hence, the need to add some speed this offseason like they did with Elijah Moore and Marquise Goodwin. And like I said, more carries for Chubb. I don't think this team is going to run the football dramatically less, probably less, but I think you're going to see Kareem Hunt's carries from last year, and like 75% of them go to Nick Chubb, and then 25% go to Jerome Ford. Maybe not that extreme, but something like that. And also, more shotgun, right? Look at the snap type last season from Jacoby Brissett to Deshaun Watson. These are not typos. Both players, 79% of their snaps last year came in the shotgun formation, okay? Now, Watson in 2020, 88% of his snaps were in shotgun. So about a 10% decrease. So this is what Kevin Stefanski was talking about. The offense really didn't change all that much when it went from Brissett to Deshaun Watson. Still heavy shotgun usage, but less than what Watson did in Houston. I think you're going to see more of what Watson did in Houston now that Brissett is not the starting quarterback week 1. Now, for all of my film lovers out there, the X's and O's cravers, you can expect a different look from the Browns in terms of their personnel and packages. More 11 personnel. 11 personnel means 1 running back, 1 tight end, and then 3 wide receivers. 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends, and so on and so forth. So basically, more of your passing-friendly concepts with 3 receivers on the field. Early downs, 1st and 10. A lot of teams, like the Browns, like to run the football so they can get some yardage, make it second and manageable, and not face 2nd and 10. That's not going to be the case. You're going to get a lot more of just Nick Chubb and David Njoku as your running back and tight end. No Harrison Bryant on the field. No Jordan Akins on early down situation. And then you have DPJ, Amari Cooper, and Elijah Moore all on the field at the same time. That is a big change you can expect to see in 2023. So make sure to follow along, by the way, for more Browns analysis. We are trying to reach our next milestone here at the channel, 20,000 subscribers. We're less than 500 away. So be a part of the army that gets us to 20K in subs if you're looking for a Browns YouTube channel. Okay, moving on to our third segment now. Is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah in line for a breakout season? I'm going to give it 3 Bernie heads. I know I could probably go all the way to 4 and be a complete fanboy, but I'm going to pump the brakes just enough and give it 3 Bernie heads. So the reason why we're discussing this is CBS Sports included JOK in an article they put out with players set for a breakout season. And he was one of 7 players mentioned. Now, last season, he was ranked 38th out of 81 qualifying linebackers by Pro Football Focus. And if you recall, he only played in 11 games due to a season-ending foot injury, which was the case for the entire linebacker room, right? The whole MO of the linebacker room was finish the year on IR, unfortunately. Now, JOK, a former second-round pick through 2 seasons, has shown more than just a lot of promise, right? He has shown a lot of real tangible, just flat-out production. In his first season, 14 games played, also missed some time, 3 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles as an off-ball linebacker, and that incredible athleticism that's so rare for that position. Also, in this past season, 7 tackles for loss, no sacks, 2 forced fumbles, but a drop in production primarily because he only played in 11 games. Now, CBS Sports' Jordan Dejani wrote this, saying, the Browns made additions on the defensive line in Dalvin Tomlinson and Za'Darius Smith, which should open up things for the linebackers. Additionally, the Browns made what I believe is a good hire at defensive coordinator in Jim Schwartz. Schwartz doesn't blitz at a high rate, but relies on his defensive lines to be disruptive and apply pressure on quarterbacks. I think that's good for JOK. And I agree. For starters, the Browns' defensive line outside of Garrett last year was so abysmal that opposing offensive lines were getting to the second level so often, and that's why you saw the Falcons run it 17 straight times in Week 3 last season, or Week 4, whatever it was, because the linebackers couldn't make a tackle because guards, centers, and tackles were getting to the second level every single time. With Dalvin Tomlinson, Siaka Ika, Za'Darius Smith, Obo, and Myles Garrett, that is not going to be the case. And now JOK and his rare speed at that position will be freed up to be flying into the backfield, like the Vikings game in 2021, in rattling off sacks and tackles for loss. So let's show the guys some love. You know I love to do this. Type 28 down in the comment section if you think JOK will have a breakout season. Let's show the former Notre Dame Fighting Irish some love. Now, before we get on out of here, it is the off-season mode. So a new wrinkle we have added to the show to end each episode is just picking a random card from a deck of cards. So I'm going to shuffle it for 5 seconds, and then I invite you to play along, type a random card into the comments section, see if you get it right. There's really no point to it other than it's the off-season. Why not end the show with something a little bit more fun than just see you later? So let's always invite the producer on, Jack Lauderay. What's your card prediction?
I'm going to go 10 of hearts.
10 of hearts from Jack. I will go 6 of clubs. One last shuffle for good measure. 6 of clubs. Oh, so close. 7 of spades. 7 of spades. All right, that's going to do it for us on today's show. We'll see everyone later. Will JOK have a breakout year? Type 28 if you think he will. Let's show the guys some love. I saw a super chat fly in. We'll throw that on screen in just a moment. Jersey Dog, 7 of hearts. He was so close. What was it, 7 of spades? I already forgot. Yeah, 7 of spades. Damn, Jersey Dog. All right, keep getting those 28s in the chat right now. Let's try and show JOK the Dog Pound has his back for 2023. 28, he's a stud. If I could get another jersey, if I knew JOK would be on this team past his rookie contract, because he's only got 2 years left on it, I would get one. He's just, I love that type of player that he is. I love linebackers in football. They're kind of a dying breed because teams just don't run it as much. It's all about speed, and that's not usually linebackers, but I love it. We got Super Chat coming in from Joshua Miller, which I think we got a Browns player comp for Joshua. Yep. What position can we at least afford an injury? Very good question. Really good question. We'll be sure to include this in our mailbag too. Obviously quarterback is going to be the number one answer, but if I'm digging deep here, what if I went linebacker? They're all injured already, right? All three starters ended the year on IR last season. JOK, Anthony Walker, Taki. I can't guarantee all three will be ready to go week one. JOK really should be. His injury was not as significant as the other two, but still, linebacker is a spot where you're already razor thin, and you didn't make any new acquisitions this offseason, right? You didn't draft a linebacker. You got some UDFAs, but still. So I'll go linebacker, and if I'm giving you a second one, pretty loaded at wide receiver, I guess running back, right? If Nick Chubb were to go down, Jerome Ford graduates from 5 to 6 carries a game to 20 to 25 carries a game. So Jerome Ford would probably not even 25, 20 carries a game. Running back and linebacker, the two, opposites, if you will, for the offense and the defense, would be the two positions. Now, Joshua Miller is the Phil Dawson of the Cleveland Browns Report. If you want to get your own Browns player comp, Super Chat $50 or more, and you can pick your player, and anytime you Super Chat in the future, it goes on screen for everyone to see. Josh, always appreciate you being an MVP at the channel here, commenting on all our videos and whatnot. Really appreciate you tuning in from the home office, I assume, in Michigan. Now, the next segment on today's show is OTAs, winners and losers. So, it's just OTAs. Don't get worked up over it. It's just a fun little segment for the offseason. But I say all that, and I know someone in Parma and Berea, I don't know where, is going to be banging on their keyboard, furious over this person being called a loser. But we're going to do it anyway. So AFX Apocalypse is in the house. Are we ready to roll, Jack Attack? All right, here we go. Let's jump into a OTAs winners and losers edition. Coming up on today's show, we're going to run through some winners and losers. Now, I can't put enough asterisks and bunny ears around that. It's just in good fun. It's just a good way to kind of get you guys some takeaways from OTAs, some highlights, maybe some lowlights too. But they're very premature, so do not get worked up over it. Now, before we look at my winners and losers, we are racing our Steelers channel to the next 1,000 mark in milestone, and next 1,000 milestone in subscribers. They've got a lead. They're pretty close to 26,000 subs, just over 150 away. But let's come back. Let's beat the Steelers. Let's sweep Pittsburgh this season. F Pitt in the chat, and let's beat Steelers Talking subscribers by hitting that sub button. Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report, OTAs winners and losers edition. Now, like I said, OTAs. Do not get worked up over it. It is May. You don't win Super Bowls in May. It's not even mandatory. It's just a good way to kind of recap what's going on and hand out some awards. I say all that, and someone's still going to get super pissed about someone being called a loser. You're not really a loser in OTAs. But my first winner is Za'Darius Smith. I mean, how could I not lead the show off with the newly acquired defensive end from Minnesota? We got our first look at Smith. He is wearing number 99, an all-time defensive end number. If I'm a quarterback, if I'm a quarterback, I do not want to see 99 and 95. Those are intimidating numbers. I want to see 63 or 78, right? Not 99. Now, his energetic and lively personality showed during the second OTA practice, which was open to the media, and that's putting it lightly. I really enjoyed watching his interview with the media and just the way he fields questions, his energy, all that stuff. It was really fun to see him bring some life to the room and not just be a guy who's got 10 sacks last year, right? Now, he's also very excited to be in a 4-3 defense. Did not have that opportunity in Baltimore, in Green Bay, or in Minnesota, and he really harped on how he thinks he's going to be better when he puts his hand on the ground, especially when you play opposite Myles Garrett. Now, here was Za'Darius Smith's reaction to being traded. I was excited. I get a chance to play in a 4-3 system, and that's something that I never played in while I was in the league. I was happy, man. And knowing that I get a chance to go be with Dalvin Tomlinson again and get a chance to be with Myles, man, it's great feeling. Za'Darius Smith is going to feast. I mean, we're talking about the Browns putting together, in my opinion, a top 3 edge rusher duo with Myles Garrett in his 16 sacks last season and Za'Darius Smith, who finished with 10 sacks, 26 combined sacks between these two players alone. Ladies and gentlemen, the days of Taven Bryan being this team's second sack leader are over. Za'Darius Smith is a bona fide Pro Bowl edge rusher. 10-plus sacks in 3 of his last 4 seasons. He also talked about how last year in his interview with the media, he played through a knee injury the second half of the season because the way his contract worked out, he wasn't going to get paid much if he wasn't going to play. So he sucked it up and he played through a bad knee injury, which is sort of why he fell off in the second half of the season. But he assured everyone he's healthy and ready to go. And 10 sacks, if he's healthy, could really balloon up to 12, 13. That's not even factoring what Myles Garrett's going to do. Now, this is what Za'Darius Smith said on Garrett being the alpha dog, if you will. I don't even think about that. I just play my role as a player. And when you go into a team, different team, you can't focus on that stuff. You got to be all about the team and helping the team win. Like I said when Za'Darius Smith got traded, we are talking a Batman and Dark Knight combination here. There is no Batman and Robin, okay, as we love to put it when it comes to edge rushers. You have Batman, you have Dark Knight, right? You have just 2 incredible edge rushers on the same team together. Kind of reminds me of the Colts with Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis. Like, which one's better? Have your pick of the litter. Like, it's Garrett, but like Za'Darius Smith would be a number 1 edge rusher on, 28, 27 other teams. A lot of teams. He is that good. And for the Browns to have him as their second fiddle and plus a rotation with Obo to keep legs fresh, this pass rush is going to be the best this team has ever seen. Scratch that. This franchise has ever seen. Now, Kevin Stefanski was very complimentary of Za'Darius Smith, saying, Za'Darius has been awesome. Just having him in the building, he's a ball of energy. He's great around our players, our young players. He practices hard. He does a great job out here. When he's in the building, in the weight room, and in the meeting rooms, on the field, he brings some juice to what we are doing. So, over or under time, 10 sacks for Za'Darius Smith. He had 10 last season, in a season where he was banged up the second half of the year. Opposite Myles Garrett, where so much attention goes to 95, give me the over, baby. Give me close to 11 or 12 sacks for Za'Darius. Moving on to our first loser. It's Greg Newsome, not because he's bad. No. Don't run with this. He's only a loser with bunny ears and asterisks because he was the slot corner for the first OTA session open to the media, and I know he doesn't really want to play slot corner. So for now, at least after one OTA session in May, so nothing is set in stone, Greg Newsome appears to be the slot corner, but then again, things can change very quickly. Last season, Greg Newsome, I wouldn't say regressed. I think people probably are a bit too harsh on Greg Newsome. In reality, he's a very good cornerback. He just potentially could have gotten this team a much-needed receiver. So to talk ourselves into trading Greg Newsome for a receiver, we sort of pushed Greg Newsome down a little bit to justify why we should trade him for Jerry Jeudy. But now that you didn't trade him for a receiver, let's all remember, Greg Newsome is a good cornerback. Now, let's also remember, Greg Newsome tweeted out no to the idea of him maybe playing slot corner again. So that's why I have him down as a loser. He may very well move. That easily could happen. Maybe it's his former Northwestern teammate, Cam Mitchell, who's the week 1 starting slot corner. But I'm just putting him down as a tentative loser, more or less to report the fact that he was in the slot to start practice on Wednesday. So this is just something to monitor during training camp and preseason, because this team doesn't have a lot of roster battles, right? I would say of the 22 starting jobs, they're all pretty much sewed up opposite of, aside from who's next to Dalvin Tomlinson. So for now, you can just kind of monitor this one and see where Greg Newsome plays throughout the training camp and preseason. My next winner is Jerome Ford. So with no Nick Chubb in the house for OTAs, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, David Njoku, and Joel Petonio, some veterans not coming to OTAs. Jerome Ford has an opportunity to run with the first-team offense, and he is hopefully making the most of it to prove the coaching staff right when he is the RB2. This is what Zach Jackson from The Athletic said. Jerome Ford got the first action and first carry in the first-team drill. Chubb's absence makes this an even bigger spring for Ford, who impressed this team's decision-makers as a rookie, but appears headed for a much larger role this season. Now, we have spent a lot of time, not just on this channel, but just Browns fans in general, discussing the idea of bringing back Kareem Hunt or signing Zeke or adding another running back. And myself included, I am guilty of this. Do we really want another running back because this team would be better with Kareem Hunt or better with Zeke? Or is it because it's the offseason and we're bored and we are just poking the Browns' Twitter saying, tweet out the Browns to sign someone, do something? It's more fun when your team signs a player in the offseason than not signing players. I think it's more of the latter. I think this team is going to be very good with Jerome Ford as its RB2, and we probably just want them to bring back Kareem Hunt because we're kind of bored and it's the offseason and we want some news to talk about here. Now, I will give you guys something to talk about, and that is today's sponsor, BetUS. When you go to chatsports.com/bet and you use promo code Browns125, they hook you up with a 125% deposit bonus. So if you put $100 in, they're going to turn the 100 and make it $225 to bet with. So make all of your picks responsibly, of course, at chatsports.com/bet and our promo code to unlock a 125% deposit bonus. My next loser is the offense. The offense is always the loser in training camp for all 32 teams. You can always guarantee that the quarterback will throw a pick six in OTAs and training camp and whatnot, and everyone gets super concerned about the offense, and the defense is looking great, okay? This is another piece from Zach Jackson's write-up, who said, Deshaun Watson did let it rip in the 7-on-7 periods, but with little noticeable success on anything down the field. Watson hit Mike Harley Jr. on a deep crosser, but the ball was well behind Harley, and Harley had to go to the ground to catch it. Real highlights of any kind were few, and that's just fine right now. Couldn't agree more. It is May. Defenses always win early on in OTAs and training camp. The offense is installing new things. The defense is told to just go out there and go foot and match them and play hard and bring that tenacity and swagger that all defensive players have. So no, I am not even buying into a little bit of concern. I'm not even giving it one Bernie head. It's just more or less something to keep in mind, but I have to report on everything coming out of Berea. So yes, I would not be doing my job in due diligence if I said the offense looked great in the first day of OTAs. They didn't, but that's okay. It's May. You don't win games in May or June. So what do you guys think about this? Will Deshaun Watson be a Pro Bowl quarterback in 2023? Yes or no? Speaking of fans and speaking of May, it is time for, sports talk radio to invent random and bizarre questions and debates just because it's May and we're all starved for football, so we have to have pointless, endless debates. So let's have this one be the next one. Will Watson be a Pro Bowl QB in 2023? Yes or no? My third and final winner is a combination, Jordan Kunaszyk and Roddy McLeod. So I'm going to combo these two because I just really want to talk about these two players here. Jordan Kunaszyk is a winner because look at Jim Schwartz and also D'Qwell Jackson in this picture. Jim Schwartz is wearing Jordan Kunaszyk's number. So the reason why is Kevin Stefanski, after practice, answered the question with this. So Coach Schwartz is a fan of Jordan today. You'll see he's a fan of a bunch of guys over the course of these practices, but Jordan's a guy that continues to always do what he's supposed to do, so Coach has given him some love. And this is awesome to see because Jordan Kunaszyk is not a lock to make this roster, right? JOK, Anthony Walker, Taki, I think Jacob Phillips and Tony Fields are the first three definitely, and Phillips and Fields are much closer than Kunaszyk, who was a practice squad special teamer more or less last year until a bunch of injuries occurred later in the season. So for Kunaszyk to be shining early on, that's great to see because Cleveland does not know who their week 1-3 starting linebackers will be, so they will take all the good play they can get at that position. My next winner, like I said, was Rodney McLeod. Here you can see a picture of him with a pick 6 off Josh Dobbs. So, hey, you get a pick 6 in OTAs, we're going to talk about it. Now, Rodney McLeod, I think, is in line for maybe a bigger season than we probably assume, because Ronnie Harrison, the third safety last year, was not really a factor in this defense, but Jim Schwartz likes to roll with 3 safeties, and he loved what he had in Rodney McLeod during their time in Philly, right? 2020, their last season together, 7 pass breakups and 1 interception. The season prior, 2 interceptions. So Rodney McLeod, I think, is going to have a bigger impact on this team than we think. Even though he won't be a true starter, he'll be on the field a ton, especially if the Browns roll with just 2 linebackers until they're really 100% healthy. McLeod's going to get a lot of run time. Now, to wrap up today's show, you know the drill. It is random pick a card time. Just a fun way to end each episode for the offseason. Got the idea from part of my take. So I'm going to shuffle this deck of cards. You're welcome to go down to the comment section, type in a random card. If you get it right, I can't be there to celebrate with you, but hey, you'll know in your heart that you won. Now, Producer Jack, you want to pick a card?
Let's do the 5 of diamonds.
5 of diamonds. So confidently, too. I'm going to go with the King of Hearts. King of Hearts. Okay. You weren't close at all. 4 of Hearts. 4 of Hearts. So if you got it, congratulations. That's it. I'll see you guys later. Will Watson be a Pro Bowl QB? Damn, Joshua Miller was close. 3 of Hearts. We've had some really... It was 4 Hearts. 1 off. 1 off. Okay. So will Watson be a Pro Bowl QB in 2023? Yes or no? Next up on the show, by the way, we have a mailbag, so start getting those questions in. Hashtag Browns, or you can super chat like Josh did, and we guarantee a spot on screen. Your question will be at the start of the mailbag, so if you want everyone to see it, super chat your way to the front of the line. But get those questions in, hashtag Browns, or you can super chat. Depressed fan saying yes. Cool guy called zone. I know. Poor one out for Joshua Miller being just 1 off. Also giving me a yes. We've also got 123 people watching. All of our new viewers tuning in. Make sure to like the video. It helps support the channel a ton. Jim saying Schwartz is also a big fan of Rodney McLeod. He loves his calling the secondary plays. Yes, he did talk about Rodney McLeod, or was it Stefanski? Anywho, I think it was Stefanski. Yeah, it was Stefanski. McLeod just being a leader on this defense and helping everyone learn the Jim Schwartz defense, right? Which, like, I didn't give any, for example, how about a, pat in the back for me right now for not even jokingly calling Myles Garrett or Nick Chubb a loser for not coming to OTAs. But I think I would prefer, if I got the choice, for Garrett to be there with a new defensive coordinator and a new defense coming in. But ultimately, these guys are pros of pros, right? If anyone's going to pick something up quickly, it's Myles Garrett and it's Nick Chubb. And if anyone's going to work hard, it's those 2 guys. They lead by example. They're not all about just, talking it but never backing it up. They lead by example. So I'm not concerned whatsoever about them not being at OTAs. They will be at mandatory minicamp. Mailbag, though, hashtag Browns or Super Chat if you want to go above and beyond and support the show. Super Chats definitely get the party going here at the Cleveland Browns Report. We got to get some more questions in. New helmets. I don't remember seeing. Did I miss this while we were doing the live show today? Am I getting got right now? Am I just doing a bad job at my job here? I'm looking at pictures. Don't look like new helmets to me. Right? What am I missing here? Okay, this is making for great radio right now. I don't know. I think I just got or something. Whatever. Terrence, who is playing opposite Denzel Ward during OTAs? Use hashtag Browns. Yeah, Terrence. And we'll get that question on screen during the mailbag. Martin Emerson was flying all over the field, according to Boots on the Ground soldiers. So Emerson looking like he's primed for a strong sophomore year, but it's May. We just want content. We just want to see football. We want a taste of this upcoming team. So OTAs at least give us, I don't even know if it's an appetizer. Training camp is an appetizer, right? The regular season's your entree, and then dessert's the postseason. So what does that make this? This is like the Uber to the restaurant, right? Where you're like, this is the shower before getting ready, Jack says. We're like, hey, I'm going to dinner soon. That's what training camp. Right. Okay. Jim, who is your breakout candidate on defense this offseason? Hashtag Browns, and we can answer that question. But if you don't put the hashtag Browns in your question in the chat, our software can't pull it, and then we can't put it on screen. So get hashtag Browns going, and then we will answer those questions for you guys here. Okay. We got some questions. Yeah. Okay. So keep getting those questions in, or super chat if you want to support the show. Guarantee a spot on screen. We've got a mailbag coming up here. Jack, we got the green light. Okay. Let's run through a mailbag one more time, the 20th time. Hashtag Browns super chat. By now you're tired of me saying that. So here we go. Mailbag time here on the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports, answering questions you guys asked during our live show, which airs every Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time, so tune in if you have not before. This first question coming via Super Chat from Joshua Miller. What position can we least afford an injury? Outside of the obvious quarterback, I think linebacker is probably an easy one to say, because when you think about the linebacker room, and we can throw that depth chart on screen for you guys, you don't have a lot of depth, right? At the moment, it is ice thin, right? Because you are getting guys back from season-ending injuries a season ago. So I would say linebacker for sure, because after Walker or Takitaki, Jacob Phillips, the backup, is also coming off an injured season last year. So I'll go with linebacker on defense. On offense, I think Nick Chubb, because we just haven't seen enough from Jerome Ford to even know what we have in Jerome Ford. So linebacker and running back would be the two spots we could probably least afford an injury, excluding quarterback, of course. Next question coming in from Jim Cougar. Who is your defensive breakout candidate for this offseason? Or this season, I'll go with. Good question. Defensive breakout candidate. Well, I do have a couple rules for breakout candidates. You can't be a rookie, because you can't break out in your rookie season. And I don't think you can break out after like year 4 or 5, right? Could JOK, right? I think JOK maybe would be a good candidate to be a household name or close to it, where teams go, wow, I had never heard of that JOK guy. I can't even pronounce his name. But after my team played the Browns, that guy's scary. Kind of reminds me of the Dolphins safety, Javon Holland, where you have never heard of him until your team plays the Dolphins, and you're like, that guy just screwed us over. So JOK would be my breakout candidate on the defensive side. Jim, appreciate the question. We got a question coming in from a Guardians player. Any other possible trade targets for the Browns? You can't ever rule Andrew Berry out for a trade. Like, if anyone ever tells you that you're silly or crazy or unrealistic for offering a trade idea involving the Browns, you should laugh at them, because Andrew Berry loves making trades. If I had to think of one, this is definitely a big reach, but then again, no one saw the Za'Darius Smith trade coming. What about Isaiah Simmons, right? It's a new regime, new GM down in the desert who did not draft the former top 10 player out of Clemson. And the Browns, like I said, are a bit thin at linebacker, and Isaiah Simmons has just never quite found a role in Arizona. I think a good DC like Jim Schwartz could carve out a nice role for Simmons. Now, I think it will cost you a little bit to get Simmons, and that's probably going to be too much for the Browns, right? Without a first-round pick next year, it probably wouldn't cost you a first for Simmons, but if it's a second or third, maybe the Browns sort of back off and just trust what they have in their current linebacker room. But then again, I didn't think they would go after Za'Darius Smith, and who's to say the Browns don't smell a good deal for Simmons and say, screw it, we're already all in. Why not even just exclude pushing all of our chips to the middle of the table? Let's push the person that's next to us chips in the middle of the table. Like, that's how all in we are here. So will the Browns make another trade? It might be like a low-level trade, kind of like last year with New England for Chase Winovich. But what do you think? At the end of the day, will they make another deal, yes or no? This is the pinned comment, so let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section. This question coming in from Centrion. Is it possible for a Quincy Carrier crossover? Definitely never opposed to doing crossovers or hopping on other shows like that. I think the better question would be to ask Quincy Carrier that question. So feel free to pose that question to him. But he puts out great content over on YouTube. I'm sure many people here are subscribed to him over there. So definitely never opposed to doing anything like that. I'm always game to talk Browns football. So appreciate the question. Lil Bean, what's going on? Should the Browns sign Leonard Fournette? I'm going to go with no. If the Browns are going to sign another running back, at least sign a running back that brings something new to the room, right? Brings a receiving ability that you maybe don't have the best in Nick Chubb. If you sign Leonard Fournette, you're just getting a worse version of Nick Chubb, I think, right? If you're going to try to replace Kareem Hunt, right? Replace what he brought to this offense, a receiving ability. You don't get that so much in Leonard Fournette. So for that reason, I'll pass on playoff Lenny. I know he's a big name, but I'm not looking for more Nick Chubb in between the tackles running backs. I want to bring a Kareem Hunt or a Jerick McKinnon who re-signed, right? Another receiving ability type running back, not another in between the tackles running back. Now, if you hate the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Ravens, or the Bengals, or all of the above, make sure to subscribe because this is the channel for you. We are always chanting F Pitt here, so hit that sub button down below if you bleed brown and orange and you cannot stand the other AFC North teams. Terrence Thomas, what's going on? Who is playing opposite Denzel Ward during OTAs? So Greg Newsome started off in the slot, which is probably not where Greg Newsome wanted it to be, but it's just May. There's always reshuffling. Okay. I always love looking back at old mock drafts to see how horribly wrong that upcoming draft was. Go look at OTA takeaways from last season and see how horribly wrong a lot of things were because it's May. It's an install. A lot of this is for the rookies and for first-time players on the Browns to learn the facilities and learn the lingo, learn the terminology, and learn the playbook. Early on, it's just putting guys in spots. It is not setting anyone in any, specific position or putting anything in stone. But to, I guess, really answer your question, which I did not in all my rambling, Martin Emerson. Joshua Miller. Will Cedric Tillman and Elijah Moore be our starting wide receivers in 2024? So off the top of my head, Amari Cooper has a $23 million cap hit in 2024. Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to be a free agent. I do not see a way both of them return, right? I don't see a way you hold on to Amari Cooper while also re-signing Donovan Peoples-Jones. Now, if we learned anything from the wide receiver market this past year, teams weren't dying to overpay receivers. Guys got $10-ish million a season. If that's what DPJ gets, kind of like a Mecole Hardman signing with the Jets, then I could see the Browns probably passing on that. I'm sure they'll try to find a way to extend him mid-season for less. But if he thinks he can get more after the season, then Cedric Tillman and Elijah Moore are going to be under contract in 2024. You mix in David Bell and you mix in another free agent signing or another draft pick, and that very well could be your receiving room. But I bet they try to hold on to Cooper or DPJ. I don't think they get both, though. Rickety Splits, what's going on? Any under-the-radar players for 2023 that we should be looking at in camp? Under the radar. It's a little tough for this team because this team is just so talented. Like, this is not a developmental young team, say like the Chicago Bears, right? My under the radar, and this really isn't under the radar, I'm going to go with Elijah Moore. I'm going to kind of spin this question as more of a, people should talk more about Elijah Moore and what he could do in this offense. Because Deshaun Watson was the NFL passing leader back in 2020. And when you look at his leading receivers in 2020, Brandon Cooks, over 1,000 yards. Will Fuller was 121 yards away from being a 1,000-yard receiver, and he only played in 11 games. Had he played a full season, no doubt the Texans have 2,000-yard receivers, something Cleveland I don't think has had in quite some time. So if you're looking for a pair of 1,000-yard receivers, good chance it's Elijah Moore opposite of Amari Cooper. Could be Donovan Peoples-Jones, but I'm a big fan of Elijah Moore. So Elijah Moore is maybe someone that isn't maybe getting enough, airtime as someone who very well could be this team's number 2 receiver. Now, who is your sleeper for 2023? It's tough to really call Elijah Moore a true sleeper because I don't think anyone's sleeping on him, but maybe he deserves to get a little bit more, front page title space, if you will. So let me know who your sleeper is down in the comment section. We're going to get on to our next question in just a moment. But before we do, the t-shirt combo deal is still going on at Fanatics, but it will not last forever. Now get this awesome not one but two shirt deal on sale when you go to chatsports.com/CLE combo. I've got all that information in the comments and the description of today's video. Next question coming in from Ray Bidding. Do you think the Browns missed a fullback last year to get additional blocking? I mean, first off, rest in peace to fullbacks right now because they are a bit of a dying breed, but there's a recent surge to have them come back. Do I think they missed a fullback? No. I think especially in 2023, you're not going to see a fullback in this type of offense, right? They want to go more 11 personnel. 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. So you want to air raid the ball. You don't need a big fullback in the backfield to do that. I don't think they're looking for a fullback. Did they miss a fullback last year? I mean, the offensive line, when Ethan Posick got hurt, went down. Kareem Hunt kind of went down the shitter a little bit. Nick Chubb was better in the first half of the season than the second half of the season. So I guess they could have stood to add a fullback, but don't think that means that they should add one this year. It's going to be an air raid this year. No fullbacks and air raids. Depressed Browns fan. Do you think Tillman will be a starter or just a rotational player? He is just a rookie, and all fans always get super drunk off rookie hype, and then the regular season rolls around, and we're like, okay, maybe we were a bit, over the line about what his role would be. We kind of did that a little bit with David Bell last season, and he was good for like 1 grab max a game, maybe 2. So I don't think he's going to be a week 1 starter. I think Tillman is a player that is going to grow into a bigger role as the season progresses. And if an injury pops up, I think he's got the skill set where when he gets a hold of a starting job, he won't relinquish it. But if everyone's healthy, he might be in the shadows a little bit more than we think right now in May. I remember giving a hot take saying Tillman's going to be this team's third leading receiver. It's May. I'm in the business of giving hot takes that I don't have to stand by in a couple months. But hey, don't be shocked if Tillman is this team's number 3 receiver if he gets the opportunity and he runs with it. Centrion, once again, what's going on? What is the most underrated offseason move for the Browns? This is actually a very good question because I was going to do a whole video about ranking underrated moves by the Browns. I don't think it's okay. Za'Darius Smith is an awesome move, but that's not underrated, right? Everyone knows that's awesome. Can I go with Jim Schwartz or Bubba Vitrone being added? Like, not even player additions, but the Browns, close your eyes for a moment and go back in time. What were we begging for the most last year in October, November, December? Get Joe Woods out of Cleveland. They did that with a major upgrade in Jim Schwartz. So I think that is an underrated move. While we can talk about the Elijah Moore trade or Za'Darius Smith trade, Jim Schwartz being the new DC is probably not being talked about enough in terms of turning around this defense that has lots of talent and putting it to its best use. So I'll go with Jim Schwartz, and don't sleep on Bubba Vitrone. The Colts special teams unit was always towards the top of the league when he was in command there. So I think the special teams and defensive sides are going to have a big boost in 2023. Before we wrap up today's mailbag, you know the drill. Off-season mode, pick a card time. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, we pick a random card to end each episode for the off-season. Pick a card, type it down in the comment section. You got a 1 in 52 chance to get it. Producer Jack, you want to give me your prediction?
Let's do the 7 of diamonds.
7 of diamonds. I will go 10 of diamonds. How about that? The diamond family. We got the diamond family right. 4 diamonds. 4 diamonds. Did we just have 4 hearts the last episode? Yeah, okay. So it's a good run for the 4s and the 2s and whatnot. All right, that's going to do it for us on today's mailbag. We will see you guys later. Okay, who's your 2023 sleeper? Ace of clubs, 6 of spades, 10 of hearts. Okay. Armstead, I'm going to put you in timeout because I've had reports come in to put you in timeout Yeah. Elijah Moore, that's a good one. I think Elijah Moore might not fit the definition of a sleeper because no one should be sleeping on Elijah Moore. Although the guy, had a good rookie season, took a step back his second year, but he's good for a third-year breakout, if you will, with Cleveland. Okay. Centurion, it has been that long since it was sad to be a Bengals fan. Yeah, Bengals fans, don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. That's one of my favorite sayings. Now, before we get on out of here, if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do so. If we don't get a super chat in the next 60 seconds or so, we're going to hang it up and let someone else take over the studio today. But everyone, give a round of applause for Jack Lauderay on the ones and twos. I recently learned where the expression on the ones and twos comes from. You know where it comes from? It comes from old disc jockeys. They had ones and twos. The tracks, yes. So the radio sportscaster at the end of the broadcast would say, and for producer Jack back in the studio on the ones and twos, on the 1 and 2 tracks. And now we just use that for producers in general. So yeah, a little bit of a nugget right there. Okay. Really appreciate everyone for taking time out of their day and coming out and hanging out with us here at the channel. We will sign off. We'll catch up with everyone later. Go Browns. And see everyone later.